Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Todd and welcome to this week's episode of the Miller Method. Today we are going to be talking about why women should not be afraid to lift heavy weights. And historically, women have generally been afraid of lifting heavy weights because they are afraid that if they do, they're going to look like this. This is a female bodybuilder, and typically women fear this kind of look, and they think that lifting weights is going to cause them to look like this, when in reality it's extremely difficult to look like this. It requires a very large volume of training, and on top of that, it is probably not done through natural means. There are probably some other things, chemical enhancements, that are going on in order to achieve that kind of look. So mainly what I'm talking about is what is the difference between men and women with respect to their ability to build muscle mass. And that main difference is the hormone testosterone. Testosterone is a very anabolic hormone, which means it's very good at building muscle. Testosterone is manufactured in the male testes, and in the female it's also manufactured to a much smaller degree in the ovaries. So if we look at differences in men and women in testosterone levels, we can look at this graph here and we can see that men's testosterone levels are much higher than women. They're about 10 times higher than the levels in women. So there really is simply not the physiological mechanism to build muscle in women is not there like it is in men. Now, of course, there's some variation. Certain women will have more testosterone production than others, and for those women it will be easier to build muscle, but the fear that you're going to get large and bulky and muscle bound is largely unfounded. So if you're not going to look like a bodybuilder when you lift heavy weights, what are you going to look like? Typically, what you're going to look like, I'm going to put up a picture of my wife, Heather. I put this picture up because I know how Heather trains. I know exactly what she does. I know the types of volumes that she uses and the exercise frequency, and that's what we're going to sort of go off of when we talk about building a program to train for body composition. So if I show that picture to people and ask them, what exercises do you think that Heather does, typically what they will say are things like the classic tricep kickback, other small muscle exercises with really light weights. Here's a picture of a woman doing a tricep kickback, and I can tell you right now, clearly she has a lot of muscle. I can tell you right now that this woman does not look like this because she's doing tricep kickbacks. The weight is extremely light, and mainly the reason that these things don't work is because they activate a very small amount of muscle. So remember, the goal of a heavy resistance training program is to increase your metabolic rate. We want to increase the amount of calories that the body is burning between workouts. And we do that by activating large muscle masses. So let me give you an example. This is an output from an InBody 720, which measures the muscle mass by segment. So the arms, legs, the trunk, the torso, that kind of stuff. And if we look at this table, this is from a 40-year-old woman, we can see that the arms contain between both arms, there's about 10 pounds of muscle. The trunk has about 43 pounds of muscle, and the legs have about 30 pounds of muscle. So there's 83 pounds in total in this woman. And her arms, which are the smallest segments, only represent about 12% of the total mass, of the total muscle mass. And also remember that the arms are indirectly getting trained when we do other large muscle exercises for the chest, the back, the shoulders. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me if our goal is to increase the metabolic rate by building large muscles. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me to spend time in the weight room doing exercises for the arms. Okay, I've never done any arm exercises generally. I just really focus on other large upper body exercises. So it's not really something that I think is critical. It takes a lot of time, and a lot of people just don't like spending that much time in the gym. So we have to give them exercises that give you a lot of bang for the buck. Okay? So what kind of exercises should women actually be doing? Here's another picture of Heather doing a 630-pound leg press, and she does this for sets of 3. So when most people look at this, they say, oh my God, that's a huge amount of weight. I would never be able to lift that much. And the reality is that most women, and we've done some research on this, we haven't published it yet, but we've done some research looking at what do women think they can lift versus what they can actually lift? And if we say to a woman, walk up to that dumbbell rack and pick up an amount of weight that you think you can put over your head 10 times, they'll pick up extraordinarily light weight, something they can put over their head 30 or 40 times. They really have no sort of concept as to how much they can actually lift. Obviously, there are exceptions to that rule, but the general population, women who have never lifted weights before, really have no concept of how strong they actually are. And I think that is really holding back people from being able to achieve their true potential when it comes to altering their body composition. So in our next installment, we will talk about which exercises I think are the best for increasing body composition and causing long-term changes in body fat.